Hello everyone, John here from Gaming in the Wild, and I've got a new month ahead video for you today. It is March, and with the new month we get a whole new list of indie games that are releasing. And I've got to say, normally when I'm putting these month ahead videos together, I've usually heard of most of the games that I'm going to talk about before. Whether I've clocked a trailer, or I've seen them pop up in some kind of direct, or I've seen people talking about them on social media, or heard about them from my friends or in the Discord. But this month there are loads of interesting games that I'd simply never heard of before, so I found a lot of interesting games doing the research for this video, and I think you're going to find something to be excited about too. So buckle up, and if you do find something that you like, be sure to drop a like on the video to help more people find it. Tell me about your favourite March games in the comments, and tell me if I've missed anything. You can always sub to the channel for more like this, and I will tell you about the channel's Patreon at the end. And with that, let's get on with the video. March came in hot, and a lot of good games came out on the 4th of the month, that is today as I'm recording the video. The first one is Grimoire Groves by Stardust and published by Wings. It's a colourful top-down adventure game with eye-popping visuals that use all the colours of the rainbow and then some. It has a mixture of farming gameplay with Pikmin-style ally mobs, combat and bosses, exploration and secrets. There are fun characters to meet who will dish out side quests for you. There are lots of new abilities to unlock that will help you grow more stuff and to improve your character and to power up. I've actually had my eye on this one for quite a while. I really like that art style. Looking at these bright colours and that animation really makes me happy. And hey, we all know that gameplay is super important, especially in a systems heavy or combat focused game. But when you really enjoy what you're looking at and what you're hearing, and you enjoy being in a game's world, that's a really good start. And I think Grimoire Groves has that. I'll be picking up this one for sure. It's only on Steam for now, but let's hope for some console ports. It would definitely be very at home on the Switch, I think. That's Grimoire Groves. Also on the 4th of the month, we got Everhood 2 by Chris Nordgren and Jordi Roca, published by Foreign Gnomes. That's a really funny publisher name. Everhood 2 is a bizarre-looking top-down RPG with rhythm gameplay, pixel art graphics, and a frantic pace. It seems inspired by a real range of stuff, from 2D Zelda to classic arcade games of the past, and it looks like there are loads of mini-games to try out of various types, with some rock band-style stuff where the notes are coming down a conveyor belt towards you, some exploration in really wild, surreal locations, and just a whole lot of chaotic, whimsical personality. You love to see it. The devs say about this one that you'll be battling enemies through musical encounters, accompanied by a raven who promises to retrieve your voice if you slay the mighty Mind Dragon. It's currently sitting at a generally favourable 85 on Metacritic, with lots of praise for the sensational graphics, the fast-paced combat, and the unique vibes, and a great soundtrack too. So check it out, weird game fans. It's on Steam and Switch. That's Everhood 2. Finally coming out on the 4th, we have Knights in Tight Spaces, developed by Ground Shatter and published by the ever-reliable Raw Fury. Knights in Tight Spaces is a turn-based tactical combat game, and it's actually a sequel to Fights in Tight Spaces, a card-based brawler, where you pull cards for moves like a wall kick, a triple punch, a combo, etc. Imagine super hot graphics with turn-based 4x gameplay and a John Wick-style fight scene that plays out as a result. Knights in Tight Spaces advances that formula and moves it to a medieval setting, adding swordplay to the mix. The devs say that you'll need to balance your hand and master momentum and positioning to overcome the odds and defeat your adversaries, build your deck, control the space, and live to fight another day. I didn't play the original of this one, but it looks like a lot of fun actually, like a melee-centric variant on tactical games like Into the Breach and so forth. I also think that being published by Raw Fury is a promising sign in my book. You can check this out on Steam now, and I'm sure that console ports are in the works. So if you fancy deck battling as a knight in a tight space, your time has come. That's Knights in Tight Spaces. Moving on to the 6th now, and this one is a port, but I think it's a pretty interesting one. It is Sorry We're Closed, developed by Alamode and published by Akupara. Sorry We're Closed is a stylish retro survival horror game with a dystopian neon nightmare aesthetic and a strong dose of cool, witchy queerness. The devs describe this one as an eccentric, story-driven survival horror game about demons, angels, and what happens when the two sides collide. It's a mix of classic fixed camera exploration like you might find in Resident Evil, and it has arcade-style shooting connecting and world-switching puzzles where the protagonist Michelle must use her third eye to see between worlds and uncover secrets. Whether this game is for you probably depends on how you feel about things like Silent Hill and more modern takes on survival horror like Signalis. This one's on the modern side of the spectrum, especially in the art style. It really does have a strong look to it and a strange, creepy, sensual kind of vibe. And for console players who clocked the initial Steam release last year, it's landing on all of the consoles on the 6th of the month. So check it out. That's Sorry We're Closed. Pretty weird games coming out this month, and I love to see it. On the 6th, we get Do No Harm, developed by Darts Games and published by Hawthorne. This one is a management-style puzzle game Doctor 'em Up with a Lovecraftian twist. You play as a rural doctor whose office is, for some reason, in the heart of a dark forest. You'll be visited by patients with all kinds of increasingly weird ailments. You have to diagnose them by consulting your books and tomes, then put together the cure from your jars of herbs, ointments, essences, etc. But there's more to it than that. The devs say that you'll be analysing unsettling symptoms and treating people using your book of medicine, but you'll also be making moral choices, deciding who to save or kill, discovering who to trust, and unlocking multiple endings. And they also add the question, can you endure 30 days of perilous decisions? I like the weirdness of this one. It looks like you start off examining locals and humans, but you're going to end up examining all kinds of odd creatures, and presumably deciding between your doctor's vows and feeding your dark master, whoever that happens to be. So if you like the idea of coming face to face with a sick room full of swamp beings, then this might just be the game for you. It's out on Steam on the 6th. That's Do No Harm. On the 11th, we get the biggest indie game of the month. It is Wanderstop by Ivy Road and published by the ever-reliable Annapurna Interactive. There's been a lot of speculation about this game. It's a so-called cozy game about making tea at a cafe in the heart of a magical forest. But the twist here is that the game was designed by Davey Reedon, the maker of The Stanley Parable and The Beginner's Guide, two excellent games that thrive on rug pulls, twists, and breaking the fourth wall to implicate the player in the game in some really interesting ways. Reedon is on the record as saying that making a cozy game was a way of trying to recover from his own burnout, and that we shouldn't expect any major dramatic twists, but we can see from the trailer that his brand of weirdness is definitely seeping into the game, because the warrior protagonist Alta is locked in a psychological battle about whether she can bring herself to live in this bland, cozy world. So the big question about Wanderstop is, how weird is this game going to get exactly? Will it genuinely be mainly a cozy narrative game, or is there something darker and more surprising lurking at its core? You can place your bets in the comments. Let me know, is this going to be a safe, cozy game, or is it going to be another Davey Reedon weird game? I'll be reviewing this one for sure, so you can circle back to the channel and look for that when Wanderstop comes to Steam and all the consoles on the 11th of the month. On the 12th, we get a game that I just didn't see coming at all, actually. I got a press release about it coming out, and I was really surprised. It's called Expelled, and it is developed by Inkle. If you're an indie game fan, you're probably aware of Inkle already. They've really carved out a niche for themselves, using their own Inkle engine to make cult classic games like 80 Days, Sorcery, and the excellent sci-fi linguist archaeology game Heaven's Vault. If you haven't played Heaven's Vault, then you really should. That's a very original game and really exciting narratively. Inkle's trademark is consequential decisions, where the things that you decide ripple onwards through the gameplay and the story, leading to widely divergent endings and lots of replayability. Expelled is built on the foundations of one of their recent games, Overboard, an acclaimed and ingenious whodunit where you play as a 50s flapper trying to get away with knocking off her husband during an ocean crossing. It's the same setup, but this time the location has been switched from a ship to a school. This time, a school prefect is pushed out of a window, you take the blame, you're threatened with expulsion, and you have to turn detective to figure out what's going on, clear your name, and save your own skin by fair means or foul. The game promises Inkle's trademark branching paths gameplay with lots of style and loads of replayability. You can pick it up on the 12th of the month on Steam, Switch, or iOS. That's Expelled. With 3 more indie games to go, and on the 18th it's another big one. It is 33 Immortals, developed by Thunder Lotus. Thunder Lotus is a studio that's been on a winning run in the last few years, releasing critical hits like Jotun and the quite lovely Spiritfarer. Those games were both well-crafted single-player experiences, so 33 Immortals is a bit of a swerve for them. It's a co-op action roguelike that's designed for no less than 33 people to play together in a single session. Luckily these days we have online matchmaking, so you won't have to worry about being strangled by cables trying to set this up by chaining multi-taps on your Super NES. In fact, Thunder Lotus promises easy pick-up and raid matchmaking with hordes of monsters to defeat, with powerful bosses and permanent power-ups that could improve your character over time, before you ultimately face, and I quote, the wrath of God to fight for your eternal life. And as gamers, we're all used to taking on tentacle monsters, we're used to taking on Odin and Thor, elven deities and Cthulhu beings, etc. But I haven't encountered the Christian god as a boss before. I wonder what their attacks are like. There's only one way to find out, and that's to squad up and check out 33 Immortals. It's coming out on the 18th for Xbox and Steam, and it includes Day 1 Game Pass, so check it out. I'm no multiplayer fan, but I'm really interested in this one. It's quite an original concept. It's 33 Immortals. I've always yearned for a straight-up hiking game. In fact, I kind of wished that Death Stranding had a mode without any of the BTs and mules and Kojima gibberish, where you could just roam the wilderness, carrying out your deliveries and puzzling out ways over the landscape. I think I'll be waiting forever for that mode, but Mike Goes on a Hike might be coming to fill the gap. It's a game that's only about hiking through nature, through beautiful woods with deer leaping over the trail, taking bridges over rippling rivers, setting up your tent in forest clearings, and braving the ever-changing elements as you plod slowly onwards. The gameplay in this one does include some survival stuff, which is a bit of an alarm bell for me. You can't have wet clothes for too long, and you will encounter threatening wild animals. You can also hunt for food. But it does seem like the focus is on the hiking itself. This seems like a meditative, chill kind of game. It's the kind of mind-clearing game we all could have used during the pandemic. Man, I'm really glad that times have moved on since then, that's for sure. And I just hope that the gameplay doesn't get in the way of the vibes, so pull on your boots and your backpack and get ready to roam when Mike Goes for a Hike drops on Steam on the 24th. And the final indie game on this list comes out on the 25th. It's called Sopa, Tale of the Stolen Potato, developed by Studio Bando. This is a game that touches on one of my favourite atmospheres, the idea of stepping into a virtual world and just being cut loose on a sunny day to explore, to wander, to roam, to meet people, to get into scrapes and adventures, to do side quests and fun activities. There's no difficulty kicking your ass, there's no pressing challenge that you have to run toward. It's just about wheeling around and doing your own thing with an engaging structure. This is the kind of formula that makes games like A Short Hike and Alba, A Wildlife Adventure, into firm favourites of mine, so I have high hopes for Sopa. It's a game where a kid goes into the pantry and falls through a portal into a magical realm. He then has to explore the open world, following in the footsteps of an ingredient thief, getting all of the stolen food back and taking it back to his grandpa back at home. The game quotes Spirited Away as a big influence, and if they can hit on that kind of flawless vibe and that kind of through the looking glass magical adventure feeling, then I'm all in. The previews have been glowing on this one, so I have high hopes for it. That's Sopa, Tale of the Stolen Potato. It's coming to all of the consoles and Steam on the 25th of March. We do also have a couple of AAA releases that are notable coming out this month that I would like to talk about briefly, but before I do, I would like to ask you a question. Do you love discovering new indie games? Do you love talking about the games you've discovered with friends, sharing your gaming experiences, and finding out what cool games you've never heard of other people are playing? If you're watching this channel, then I guess the answer is yes, but if you'd like to go a step further and join the channel's community of supporters, you can do so for $1 a month at patreon.com/gaminginthewilds. Everyone who joins the Patreon not only gets the satisfaction of supporting the work I do on this channel, helping me to produce more videos more regularly for you all, but also you get an invite to our cozy patron-only Discord server. There are loads of activities going on in there. There is a short game club where everyone gets to pick one short game each month and we all play it. There is a book and game club where people read books and games that are inspired by each other. We have Wordle, we have a Fantasy Critic League, we have channels for new games like Avowed. We all play Steam Next Fest games together, then we all rate them and have a community top 5 that I'll be making a video about soon. You also get access to 15 bonus podcast episodes with new ones coming up every couple of months. You get behind the scenes content creation shop talk from me about how I make podcasts and videos, and you get loads more besides. So hop in if that sounds good to you. You can support this channel, get those perks, and join the lovely Gaming in the Wild community. I'll flash a link up on the screen right now. We got a record-breaking amount of new patrons last month, so thank you very much to all my new February patrons, including James, Tiffany, Nick, Andrew, Irate, Tyler, Zach and Donald, Thomas, Paolo and Rob. Thanks very much, guys. And with that, let's get on with the video. There are 3 AAA releases this month that I think are worth flagging up. On the 6th, we get Split Fiction. It's the latest co-op adventure from the maker of the Game Awards Best Game winner, It Takes Two. I don't really like these games, but I'm definitely in the minority there, and this one looks like it pushes the envelope in terms of presentation. It's the tale of 2 women, one of whom is a fantasy writer, one of whom is a science fiction writer, and they get drawn into the worlds that they've created, flicking between the two. We might well end up seeing this one at the Game Awards at the end of the year. It's coming to all of the consoles and PC, so if you're a co-op player, then rope in your partner and get it on the 6th. On the 20th, we get Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is when Assassin's Creed finally goes to feudal Japan. Who knows why Ubisoft held out on this immensely popular setting for quite so long? At least it's coming out before Ghost of Yotei eats its lunch. This one promises dual protagonists and a characteristically sprawling open world to explore. I actually quite liked Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla. I really like an open world game where you can just wander around doing stuff for ages. It's like a form of comfort game to me. And while we all know that Ubisoft have a kind of a box-ticking formula that gets on people's nerves a little bit, I'm always interested in seeing how they've tweaked it, hopefully for the better. So I might well check this one out. That's Assassin's Creed Shadows, coming out on the 20th. And that brings us to the final game of the video. On the 27th, we get the first Berserker, Khazan, a third-person fantasy hack-and-slash game with some Souls-like elements. This one's being published by Capcom. It has a dark fantasy art style with some scratchy, scribbly comic book art, and it promises some tense strategic combat with heavy-hitting encounters and a demonic story to boot. Not entirely my thing, but if it sounds like yours, there's a demo on Steam now, and it comes to all the consoles and Steam on the 27th of the month. That's the first Berserker, Khazan. That's it for this video, and in case you don't know and you enjoy these videos and you watch all the way to the end, then I run a weekly podcast, an audio podcast that you can find on Spotify and Apple, all of those places. There is also a playlist that automatically updates on my YouTube profile page. This is where I go into games in more depth, and at the minute we're doing an act-by-act playthrough of Kentucky Route Zero in the Gaming in the Wild community. So check it out if you'd like more of my content. Thanks very much for watching, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you on the next one.